Hi everyone, my name's Marc Stcherbina. I'm from Sydney, Australia, and I'm a former professional rugby player. I played for 12 seasons and retired about 10 years ago, and I'm here to tell my story of what I've been up to ever since. Coming from Australia, very sports dominant culture. But I started when I was about 5 years old. I played for a club. The rugby ball was kind of as big as us at the time. When things got serious was when I went to high school. So I had a choice. When I leave high school, do I play rugby league or do I wait and see if rugby union becomes professional? And I chose that path instead of just going and signing a contract. I wanted to attend university. Sure enough, rugby union became professional 2 years after I left school. In high school, as a 15, 16-year-old, playing in front of 10,000 people was kind of a big deal back then. On top of that, I was representing my country in what we call age level. So I was representing Australia, playing in the under 18s, then the under 20s, 21s at the time. That was very elite and a great opportunity to feel what it's like to represent my country, even though it was of people the same age. Shortly after that, then I stepped into men's open age rugby at the age of 18. I got to travel all around the world and play rugby. The cost of that is obviously it's quite a brutal sport. So I had many, many injuries along the way and ultimately ended up with a very serious injury to my neck, which ended my career, which we can certainly talk more about. I was 32, so I'd already started considering what was next. I didn't necessarily have a plan in place. I still thought that I was young enough and fit enough to play maybe 2 more seasons. I was coming off contract. I was offered another contract. Do I take that contract? Do I try and get another contract overseas as a last hurrah? That's where I was at my career. So when I had that injury, it was somewhat abrupt and not part of the plan, but at the same time I look at the bright side of things, look at the bright side of everything. At least I wasn't 23 years of age with a full career ahead of me. I was completely paralyzed from the neck down. The play had to stop. I had 7 medical staff eventually come over and stabilize me and carry me off the field. I can go back to that moment. I have video footage where I can watch and reconnect back with those moments of what's happening, what will my life look like next if I can't walk. Remember, it was from the neck down, so I had no feeling. Am I a quadriplegic? There was panic, there was shock mixed with calm because I trained myself to be calm in any injury situation. Playing professionally for 12 years, I had so many injuries that my mindset also went to just breathe, you don't know what's happening now, you'll be fine, to then sheer panic because I'd never had a neck injury before. Fortunately, I had surgery that night, it was successful, and I walked out of hospital 5 days later. The opportunity there is now I've been given a second chance, and I really believe that. So I went from panic and that trauma of loss to now, okay, we have a second chance. What am I going to do with it? So I shifted into that quite quickly afterwards and then focused on my recovery. I didn't have a definitive plan of what was next. I had some ideas, but I think the biggest challenge was that, as I said, it was such a profound, defining moment of my life. Having a neck injury, surviving it, knowing that I'll be able to walk again. In fact, I was already walking. And that idea of this is a second chance. The fear that came up around who am I now that I'm not a rugby player? What's next? So once I could let go of the fact that I'm no longer a professional sports person, then I could step into the next phase more powerfully and with clarity. It was left up to me. Main support I got was from teammates. So I had one in particular who gave me a book that he was reading at the time when he clearly saw how distressing and traumatic my situation was, and considering the next phase, he gave me a book called The Power of Now. And that, because I had this thirst for knowledge and to better myself and to step into the next phase as opposed to focus on what I just lost, I was hungry to read this book, which then led to other books, which really had me understand myself and my limitations and work on those, such as the fear that I had now of what's next. Mainly mental and emotional. The physical challenge was once I knew that I was going to make a near full recovery, that part was easy. I dealt with physical rehabilitation and recovery my entire sporting life. The mental and emotional stuff was up to me. One of the main hurdles was going through that change was I ended a relationship that I'd been in for 2.5 years with my then girlfriend. Breaking free of a relationship or ending a relationship's tough for anybody, but doing that at that particular time in my career was also tough because then I felt even more alone. Not being part of the team anymore. This happened mid-season. My team went on to play the rest of the season without me. Consult and develop programs and help first and foremost athletes, but now that's transitioned into the corporate world as well. I do some commentating for rugby, and the Major League Rugby has been going for 3 seasons now. It's just kicked off. So I love broadcasting. I love being able to communicate in that way, and I'm leveraging that to also teach athletes in particular how to deal with the media, because it's a very big part of sport. High school, college, and professional levels. Just developing habits that serve the goals that you have. I transfer that over using the same necessity for discipline for people that want to achieve in whatever area of their life. It requires discipline. It requires developing the right kind of habits that will serve that goal. There's a lot of leadership skills that I think are transferable. Motivating yourself and making sacrifices for the greater cause. Knowing yourself inside and out. Knowing your strengths and your liabilities. Knowing how to use those strengths and knowing when to improve those weaknesses and liabilities. Best coaches and mentors that I draw upon now in my life from my experience are the ones that focused on being a better human. Going through my personal growth journey post-career, I just think, man, if I knew that stuff that I've just learned now in terms of leadership, in terms of resilience, my relationship with my ego, if I had that packaged into some kind of program during my career, it would have made me a much better player and then equipped me for life after sport as well. That attachment to being an athlete doesn't start when you stop being an athlete. The attachment to being an athlete starts through the ranks and through the levels. And I think it's important for there to be a reminder of that and some coaching around how to be the best athlete you can be, but at the same time know that that's not who you are as a person. That's just what you do. I know that part of my journey is dealing with any regret. Big regret was actually playing that day. I was sick. I was virtually ruled out by the team doctor because I had gastroenteritis. I'd lost 12 pounds overnight, couldn't eat. The day of the game, we were playing in France, and I could barely eat a piece of toast in the morning. But being the resilient, stoic leader that I was, I couldn't let the team down, and we had a real chance that day. So I went out and played and broke my neck. I can make whatever meaning I want from that. I could have easily just held on to that regret. And what if I didn't play? What I choose to do now is not regret, is actually see that as an opportunity. Is it the camaraderie? Is it that sense of belonging? Because I'm part of a team here. I'm accepted by my peers because outside of this, I have nothing else. But inside here, we all have the same thing and we respect each other for it. And also what's created that closeness, that bondness of knowing that there are not many people in the world that can do what we do. Do I chase aggression and adrenaline? No, I feel like I've done kind of the opposite. I'm able to fall back into what I feel most comfortable, and that is more empathic and not needing to go and risk my life for thrills. I risked my life already every day playing rugby. The scare that I had with breaking my neck now has me choosing other things, that challenging myself and pushing myself, but not to the point where I need to prove anything to myself. My answer is, I miss game day. We're about to run out gladiatorial style in an arena with people watching. There's high risk, high reward. You're under scrutiny now with any mistakes that you make, and that creates an excitement. It's a stage, essentially. Walking onto a stage where all eyes are on you, that for me is my way of replicating that. That is putting on a talk, speaking in front of people. Now with commentating as well, there's people are listening. So my message, I have to watch what I say and make an impact with that. And there's a chance that I'll stuff up and be judged and be viewed, just like when I was out on the rugby field. My commitment is to have balance. That's what living life to the fullest and making most of this second chance isn't beating myself into the ground with my career, but it's doing my best to build a career that makes an impact out there, but also make sure that I'm serving me and having fun and making the most of what this beautiful world has to offer as well. It's tough. But we need to be intentional and at least check in with ourselves and see how we're doing from time to time.